Now, when I talk about changes, there's so many things we can look at. The first thing I'd like to get you to concentrate on as we move forward is this idea that an event has to engage all of the senses. Too often our events are about some bloke standing up, middle-aged, talking to an environment. Sound familiar? Conferences are about people walking up to a stand and having a conversation. We really need to start thinking about our events in terms of how we make them much more engaging and how do we engage those 5 senses. Now, to do that, you have to have an understanding of behavioural change. It's really easy to come up with ideas, but implementing them and allowing them to stick is much, much more difficult. And this is what I'm going to try and support you with today. Okay? So I hope that you're with me on this journey in terms of we want to do something different. We want to be a little bit more creative and a bit more innovative because we think it's going to impact our organisation. And as an event organiser, I'm probably going to have more fun organising these types of events. But to do that, we have to concentrate on behavioural change. Okay, so I've got a first little task for you individually on your tables. You don't have to speak to anyone to do this, okay? Now, I've identified through most of my consultancy that there's always 6 barriers to creativity, okay? And what I'm going to do, they're on screen, and then I'm going to ask you to write them down and just prioritise them in terms of you and your organisation. So if you go back with a brilliant idea, what's the main barrier that's going to stop you implementing it? Okay? You've got about 5 minutes to do that. Can everyone see them? Yeah? Okay, number 1, if you want to start scribbling, is creativity costs too much time, money, or resource. Is that the main barrier? So too much time or resource. Sorry, not time or resource. It's going to be too expensive or use too much resource for the organisation. The second one is that creativity costs too much time. You have the money and your resources, but you don't have the time to be creative. No one in your organisation values creativity. So you could have all these brilliant ideas, the time, the money, but no one thinks it's worth it. The fourth one is an external one. Your stakeholders don't want to take the risk. And there's a perception that with creativity, with innovation, with change, there's a risk. The fifth one, your attendees, your exhibitors, your speakers, or your sponsors wouldn't support your creativity. Because if you want to create an environment that's different, you need other people who are involved in your event to support you. And then the sixth one is, I am the barrier to creativity, that you're not creative. Now, you don't have to share this with anyone else, okay? So this is just an exercise for yourself. So I think you'll get a lot of value for the rest of the presentation if you highlight the most important challenge that you'll face if you go back to your office. Okay, another little exercise. What I really need to do now is start building up your creative juices inside you. So the first thing I want you to think about, again individually, is something creative that's happened at one of your organisation's events. You define creativity, you come up with it. This is a registration table at a travel event I organised. Okay, it's a little thing. So I'd like you to think about one idea, scribble it down, see if anything springs to mind.
Would you mean something you have done?
Something you have done at an event, any of your, or someone else in your organisation has done. And this will start you thinking about if your organisation is already on this creative journey. Now I want you to think about something creative you've seen at someone else's event. This is a really cool branded little seat that I saw at an exhibition in Holland a couple of years ago. And in terms of meeting design, there's real creative uses for it. So something at another event. And then thirdly, and this is normally the most difficult, something creative from any other environment. Because what I want you to do is start thinking about how you can bring the outside world and all the best practice and the learning into your events. This is from the Imaginarium, which is a toy shop in Barcelona. Who's the door on the right for? Isn't that great? Every kid who goes in there, do they go through the big door with the adults? or do they go through the little door for the kids? And this just proves to me they've thought about the environment, and they want that kid to feel special when they walk into it. And I think that's great. And I think, what do we do to help our attendees feel special? Okay, so I'll do this with some shakes of the head. How easy a process was that? Was that easy? Pardon? Very difficult, yeah. It's amazing, and I think I've shown that at the start. Creativity doesn't really have a natural place within a lot of the events that we organise. And I know we're all from associations. Most of the change and the innovation that I've used is for associations. It should be a hotbed of creativity and association, and we really need to move towards it being like that. But it is difficult, especially this one.